Hi friends, it's time for us to get into some intersectionality. I'm a proud Gen Xer here, and for today's topics I have prepared notes because I tend to, if you haven't noticed, talk in circles, and I want to be sure that I get all of my points in and stay under 10 minutes. Wish me luck. So, I'm a proud Gen Xer, and I'm really tired of hearing the statement, well, that didn't happen in my day. Well, I'm here to tell you so much happened in everybody else's day. For example, let's talk about the wearing of garments that are perceived as opposite of one's gender. Going all the way back into clothing history, this is something that has at times been acceptable and not. With the advent of Christianity, some of this gets codified as these are male garments and these are female garments. For example, the Bible verse Deuteronomy 22:5, which is one I quote often, says, "The woman shall not wear that pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto unto Lord thy God." I'm not a Bible reader. This basically says that, if it's deemed male, only men can wear it, and if it's deemed female, only female can wear it. And going back through history, that has pertained heavily to dresses versus pants. So the bifurcated garment being divided between the legs is heavily associated with being a male garment at the onset of Christianity, and one that is not is feminine. Ironic that the Romans believed that wearing pants was barbaric. Another silly Bible verse that goes into what we should and should not wear. This is Deuteronomy 22:11. Deuteronomy apparently had a lot of things to say about clothing. This one says, "Thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of woolen and linen together." So basically this is saying that one shouldn't mix their fibers in their clothing, which doesn't seem to be as terrible to our modern society. I think every pair of jeans I own now has mixed fibers, polyester, cotton, spandex, and all of those poly cotton shirts that we love because we don't have to iron them as much. Yes, according to this, if you believe so strongly about women's clothes versus men's clothes, you should probably be throwing those out too. So here's the thing about history. History is generally written and recorded by those who are in power or those who are the victors of any given moment. So historically in our culture, in American culture, this has largely been white, straight, cis men. These are the folks that have recorded history, and therefore these are the people who are most reflected in history. That leaves a lot of people missing. So I always say, if you don't see them or you don't think they did that back in your day, look closer because they're there. We can go back through much of history and see examples of people wearing clothes of the opposite gender in any given period. Now, of course, it's hard because they've been left out of history to actually depict who was trans and who was having fun with a pile of clothes and a camera. But if you look at, particularly after the advent of photography, there's quite a lot of things of note. So I'm going to give you some examples. Here is a picture of Christina, Queen of Sweden, in a painting from 1653. Her coronation was in 1650 at the age of 18, so this painting was painted about 3 years after her coronation. Christina is remembered and legendized for her masculine style of dressing and her gender expression, and is frequently referred to in novels, plays, operas, and her biographies. So there's a lot of thought that even though as a queen, she was expected to dress as a woman in her own realm, she frequently liked to be dressed as a man. Another examples are famous pirates Anne Bonny and Mary Read. These are late 17th century Irish pirates. Anne Bonny met Calico Jack Rackhorn in the Caribbean. She asked her husband for a divorce and he didn't give it to her, so she ran away with Rackham to his ship, upon which she dressed as a man. There she met Mary Read, who was on the ship as well. Mary Read was another woman who was in disguise of a man. So all comes to light because Anne gets pregnant. And Mary gets pregnant because they're up for execution, and they get out of execution because they're pregnant. Their story is incredible. I encourage you to look it up. Mary and Anne developed a relationship, and part of the reveal of this relationship was that they were both women, and because Rackham was insanely jealous, all of this stuff. So crazy ladies living on the high seas as pirates. A victim of piracy, Dorothy Thomas, described them as thus: they wore men's jackets and long trousers, and they had handkerchiefs tied to their heads, and each had a machete and a pistol in their hands, and they cursed and swore at men to murder me. She knew they were women from the largeness of their breasts. So I found multiple examples in the Russian monarchies. Empress Elizabeth, who took the crown in 1742, is frequently drawn or painted riding not side saddle in men's clothing. Also, Catherine the Great, Empress of Russia, was known to be a young tomboy and had self-trained herself to master the sword, and she too is frequently depicted as riding as a man on horseback in men's clothing. Cecil Beaton, a fashion photographer, also war and portrait photographer. He was an Oscar-winning costume designer, openly bisexual in the 1920s. Had documented relationships with both men and women, and frequently depicted wearing women's clothing. Frida Kahlo is a renowned artist. She's known for her folk style that explored identity, post-colonialism, gender, class, and race in Mexican society. She frequently pushed back against cultural norms, and here in this picture, she is standing with her family members dressed as a man. They've always been there.